It's a me, Matthew, here with the Onyx Path news again. That's the only reason I'm wearing this top, so I could say that better than Chris Pratt ever could. Actually, I'm very much looking forward to the Super Mario Brothers movie because I have a son who is a very big fan of the Mario games, and I'm sure we will be seeing it multiple times while it's on in the cinema. So yes, welcome to the Onyx Path news, and I do hope that you, the viewer, the loyal viewer who tunes in to every single news episode, or maybe this is your first, maybe you've stumbled upon this somehow, fallen down a YouTube rabbit hole. I do hope that you have backed the Realms of Pugmire Kickstarter. Why do I start off with that? Well, because the Realms of Pugmire Kickstarter launched a couple of weeks ago, and since then it has, of course, hit funding. We have exceeded funding. We are marching our way through stretch goals. It's going nicely, very nicely indeed, but we can always do with more support. And that's the main reason I'm raising it with you, because we want to ensure that the Realms of Pugmire Kickstarter gets into avenues it wouldn't ordinarily do. And the Realms of Pugmire Kickstarter, and this game in particular, is a new edition of Pugmire, and it appeals to people in a way that a lot of role-playing games don't. Why? Because it has a common feature that exists in many people's lives: animals. Some people respond very strongly to the idea of the ability to create your own pets in a role-playing game. I want to play a version of my dog. I want to play a version of my cat, and so on and so forth. And that really hooks people into Pugmire. Now, if you have backed the Kickstarter, or even if you haven't, if you know people who might like it, whether it's as a role-playing game, as a book to own, as an art book, do share the link, which is below, in your communities. This is a beautiful book for role players of all ages. It isn't specifically for children. It's not specifically for adults either. There's so many people that can enjoy this. And it uses its own system, the Onyx 20 system. So that means we have designed it to be as simple and accessible as it can possibly be. So do check it out if you can. We would very much appreciate it. We're very happy with Realms of Pugmire. And as I say, it's trundling along. We would love for it to do even better. But that is partly on people like you, good folks like yourselves, sharing it wherever you can. And believe me, it will make a difference. So what else? Well, last week we released the Proteus Nova's Compendium for Trinity Continuum Aberrant. That's a mouthful. And this is a book you can get in PDF or print on demand from Drive4RPG, once again linked below. The Nova's Compendium provides dozens of Novas. Novas are the super heroic or super villainous characters in Aberrant, and they can act as inspiration, as antagonists, as supporting characters, or even with a little bit of tweaking, your playable characters straight out the bat. Off the bat. So again, check it out. I find, and I don't know if you can see beside me, not to promote another game, I don't think you can. I've got the DC Adventures RPG, and part of the reason isn't because I want to run DC Adventures necessarily. I mean, I've got DC Heroes just there, but I always used to be a bigger DC fan than I was a Marvel fan. And the reason I bought these books wasn't because I necessarily wanted to play games set in the DC universe, but because I wanted to use characters, use these templates in my own games. And so, what would a version of, to pick an example, the Ultra Humanites look like in a game of Aberrant, as an example? Now, books like the Proteus Novus Compendium, I think a lot of people look at them. They look at Chronicles of Darkness books like the Night Horrors book Shunned by the Moon. They look at Monsters from the Crypt, from They Came from Beyond the Grave, and they think, I write my own stories. I don't need these characters statted up. But what they fail to take into account, what they fail to consider, and this can act as one of the greatest inspirations you can have as a GM, is by reading these books, you can take little bits and pieces and you can recraft them, assemble them into your own characters, into your own plots. Use them as inspiration. You don't have to pull them directly off the page. In fact, most of the time I would encourage you don't. I would encourage you use the bits you like, leave the bits you don't, amalgamate them with another thing you like, and all of a sudden you have ideas you can put to your gaming group. And nothing else. I mean, if nothing else, they're also very fun to read. I love a book of antagonists. And Proteus Nova's Compendium is not only beautiful, but also incredibly well written with a lot of very captivating characters. So do check it out. Please do. It is linked below. And Aberrant is one of our most popular game lines, so I'm sure many of you already have, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to ask you to do it anyway. And hello to Mediocre Gamer. I'm sure you're not mediocre. I'm sure you're at the very least mid, who says, all hail our weekly news guy. And Pavel Novicki says, hello. And I say, hi, Pavel. So, what else do we have going on? Well, later on this month, there is Onyx Path Gaming Night over on Start.Playing Games. Once again, linked below. There is a date that it is on. I believe it's the 23rd of February, but do check the link below. It has it right there. I believe we're going for a Trinity focus this month. So do make sure. But the fact is, it doesn't matter what game we're focusing on. While we may put up various art and displays and things to encourage you to run certain games, you can run anything you like. Last month, there were some very successful games of, for instance, I know there was a Trinity game, a Changeling game, there was a They Came From Beyond the Grave game, we had some more as well. So if there's any game you want to run, please do so. And as Rich pointed out on the Monday Meeting blog last week, and I point out in many of these Onyx Path news episodes, if you're new to your game and you want to run it just to test drive, just to learn the rules, that is what you should advertise. Not because you need to gatekeep or because you need to be afraid of experienced role players, but because you will attract more players by saying, this is a new game for new people. I'm new to it. Let's learn it together. From such small acorns, mighty regular gaming groups can follow. This is how you start a group. You all come in at the ground level and you all grow together. Help each other out with rules, create characters together, all that fun stuff. So please go ahead and do that. Now, what else do we have going on? I've mentioned Kickstarter, I mentioned release, I've mentioned Start Playing. Well, I'm going to point out something else. I'm going to point out the Onyx Pathcast. I don't often reference the Onyx Pathcast, our other major medium stream next to Twitch and YouTube, but every single week for the last, Christ knows how many years now, we've released an episode of the Onyx Pathcast, and last Fridays it was one of my favorite topics. We do it every now and then. I think we've done 3 of them now. They're 5-minute brainstorms. And essentially, the hosts of the Pathcast, last week it was Dixie, myself, and Danielle instead of Eddie. Eddie was indisposed. Are given prompts created by a prompt generator, and we then have 5 minutes to come up with a game concept based on those prompts. You can find the other 5-minute brainstorms just by searching for the Onyx Pathcast, but some really great and some strange and some not great ideas come from these prompts. And to prove a point, I guess, The World Below, which is one of the RPGs we're currently working on at Onyx Path for hopeful crowdfunding later on this year, it was spawned from one of these 5-minute brainstorm episodes. I pitched it to Eddie and Dixie. I decided, you know what, this idea's actually got legs. We could go somewhere with this. And so I then spoke to Rich about it. He encouraged me to make up a formal pitch. We went through those various motions, and the game has ended. Well, it's written. It just needs adjustment at this point, as all games do in the development phase. So you never know. You might listen to a 5-minute pitches episode and get a sneak preview of a game to come. Though you do have to bear in mind that a lot of these ideas would not even hit the cutting room floor. They would burn up as soon as they entered atmosphere. So, yeah, do listen and let us know on the Onyx Path Discord, on the Onyx Path blog, or wherever you can find us, which of these concepts you like. That can point us in various directions when we hear what the fans, customers, readers, role players enjoy the idea of. So, I see Pavel really likes the 5-minute game concepts. Good for you, Pavel. And Troy is still waiting for Ultimate Dragon Real Total Cook-Off X Plus Ultra Alpha Edition with Cooking Dragon King Tensai. I think we mentioned it at the beginning of the last episode as well. There is a rival giant turtle restaurant next door, perhaps, I think. But anyway, that was pitched in the first of our 5-minute brainstorm concepts episode, and for whatever reason, it's a concept that's stuck with us. Unfortunately, it's also a completely unplayable game. From my view, as the pitcher. But I think we came up with a decent sequel in Friday's episode with Tammy and Tommy's Bakery. So do give that one a listen. It's not a game as such, but it might scratch the same itch, I suppose. Anyway, I'm going to get ready for the Monday meeting that will be occurring shortly. I do hope all of you are well. Do feel free, of course. Let's see. Pavel says maybe you should make next 5-minute brainstorm episode with some new guest participants. Well, it was Danielle that was on, one of our fellow developers, on last Friday's one. So we will be cycling through, I'm sure. But the thing is, I don't ever want to miss these things. I want to be there for every single one of them because it's probably my favorite episode concept. I like the excuse to be creative as if I need it. Without these 5-minute brainstorm episodes, I would be dead in the water. No games would be released. Anyway, I will depart for now, but thank you so much for watching, and do check out the Realms of Pugmire Kickstarter. Share it far and wide, and once you've shared it, let us know where you shared it, because what that means is we can actually trace if someone backs it from a certain place. We can find out where, and that all helps. It's all good data. So yeah, share the link, let us know how you get on, and have a good rest of your week. Bye bye.